Everyone, my name is Mrs. Milanovic, and I'm the art teacher at Coreyton Elementary School, and I also teach at Verda Elementary School. So hello to all my students, I hope you're doing well. Today I'm going to show you how to make an origami whale. Origami is the art of paper folding, so all you'll need for this is a square sheet of paper. If you don't have a square sheet of paper and all you have is maybe a rectangle sheet like a copy paper, I'll show you first how to turn that into a square sheet. So no worries if you don't have a square sheet of paper. I'm also going to show you some pictures before we get started of artwork that was created by various origami artists. They've created some really cool things just by folding paper. And I hope after you make your whale, maybe today you can practice, you can explore and experiment on your own and see if you can create your own origami inventions. All right, so we'll get to the pictures and then we'll get started with our folding. Okay, so we are starting with a square sheet of paper, like I said. If you only have a rectangle sheet, what you're going to do is, this is just a piece of copy paper I have, that's a rectangle. You're going to take this top corner up here on the upper right side, and you're going to be folding this whole top edge. You're going to fold it down so that it meets this side edge right here. So I'm just going to take it all the way over and line up those two edges very carefully. Once I get them all lined up, I'm going to hold down the corner. I'm just going to take my thumb and crease all the way down. Okay. You might want to get a parent to help you with this part just so that you start out with a nice straight square. Then you're going to just trim off, see this little rectangle down here? You're just going to trim all of that part off. So I'm going to get my scissors and just cut that part off so that I have a nice square sheet to begin with. And bonus for these people who are making your own square sheet of paper, our very first fold, you've already got it done. Ha! So that is a way to make a square sheet out of a rectangle sheet. Okay, I'm going to go back to my little paper here, and you'll see that I have one side of my paper is colored, has design on it, and the other side is white. If you want your whale to be a certain color or design, you could go ahead and color and design one side of your paper if you want, or you could wait till the very end after you have it folded and then you could do it then. So if you decide to go ahead and color or decorate your paper on one side before you start folding, you just want to make sure when you get started that that side is facing down, so your white side is facing up. Now, origami is the art of paper folding. So every fold you make, you want to make sure it's really nice and sharp and as perfect as you can make it. So that way the next folds will all line up. Okay, our very first fold in our origami whale is going to be, we're going to turn our paper to look like a diamond instead of a square. Okay, we're going to start with this bottom corner down here, and I'm going to fold it all the way to the top corner. So I'm just taking the bottom corner, bringing it all the way up to the top, and once I get those two corners to where they're nice and lined, I'm going to hold the corners together with one finger, and then I'm going to slide my other pointer finger straight down to the bottom there. So it makes a nice crease, and then all I have to do is go out to one side and the other. You have a nice sharp crease. And look, we just made a triangle. Okay, so second step, is I'm just going to unfold that nice triangle that I just made. In origami, often you will make one fold to kind of give you a guideline of where the next fold is going to go. And you'll see that there's a nice crease line right in the center of our paper now. That center crease is going to be important because the next fold is going to line up with this center crease. So I'm going to take from this bottom corner to this side corner on the left, this whole edge right here, I'm going to fold it so that it is in line with the center right here. So I'm going to take this bottom corner, this whole edge, I'm going to fold it in to where it meets that center line. I'm going to crease it really nicely, just like that. Okay? So you want to try to make sure you don't go past this center crease. You want to go right up to it and stop. Okay? The next step is I'm going to start from this bottom corner here all the way to this top corner here, this whole edge. Now I'm going to fold it into the center line just like I did with the bottom side. So I'm going to fold this whole edge in. I'm going to try not to go past that center crease. And you'll see that the two sides kind of line up right here if you're doing it very nicely. There we go. Okay. So it should look something like this when you get that part done. All right. Now you see that there's this little white triangle here. I'm going to turn this so that that little white triangle is facing up, just like that. I'm going to take the top corner of that white triangle and I'm just going to fold it down until it reaches the top edges of these two sides I just folded in. So I'm going to fold this top edge, top corner down just to where it meets those other ones and crease it right there. Okay, so it should look like this now. All right, the next step is I'm going to go ahead and put it back the way it started out, this direction. Okay. Now, see there's sort of a middle line. There's a line that goes all the way through. I'm going to take this whole bottom half and I'm going to be folding it all the way up to the top. So I'm going to just go ahead and close this bottom side all the way to the top, just like that. You can kind of give it a nice crease. Is it starting to look something like a whale? I think it's looking a little like a whale. Now, the next step is you're going to take this little bitty pointy part right here. This is going to be the whale's tail. So I'm going to take this little pointy edge and I'm going to just kind of twist about right in there and send it straight up to the sky, just like that. And you'll have to kind of crease it right there to get it to stay. So I just took this corner right here and I just folded it up just like that. Give it a good crease. Okay, you could leave it like this if you want. So here we have the whale's main part of his body and then we've got the little tail sticking out there. If you want your tail to stay a little bit better, there's another couple of steps you can do. You could open that back up. And then you see at this top part where we folded it in half, it kind of has an opening there. You can take the tail tip and you can just push it up through there and kind of turn it inside out like that. It already has this center line where it's going to crease on. And you can just close it back up inside there. So I'll do that part again so you can see. So I just took the little tip of the tail and I'm sort of pushing it inside out, just like that, and creasing it nicely when I get it to where I want it. All right. And then there's one more little step. If you want your tail to look like it's kind of flipped over, if you have some scissors handy, you can just make one little cut just right here, one little snip on the tail, that. And then I can flip the front side towards the front. And that makes my whale look like his tail is flipped over and he's splashing in the water. Or she's splashing in the water. Whee! Okay. Alright, I'm going to do one more just so we can kind of review in case you want to make some more. Maybe you want to make whales of different sizes. Maybe you want to put them on some sort of a background sheet of paper. You could glue them down and draw your own background. Where will your whale live? Maybe it's in the ocean. Maybe it lives in the city. It's a city whale. It can live wherever you want it to live. Okay, so I'm going to just review by doing one more, and I might go a little faster this time since now you've already made yours. Okay, so starting with paper colored side down, the first step is we turned it like a diamond. Then we folded the bottom corner all the way to the top to make a triangle. Make sure you're trying to make each fold as perfect as possible. Just like that. Okay, the next step was we unfolded the triangle to make our diamond again. Now I took the left corner all the way down to the bottom corner, this whole edge, and folded it to where it met the center line, just like this. So we folded that bottom edge in, creased it nicely. Then we did the same thing with the left corner to the top corner, this whole edge, brought it down to meet the center line. These two kind of look like little doors. So they don't want to overlap. They just kind of go right up next to each other. Okay, then we turned our paper this way. So we have it looking like a little kite. We take the top corner and we're just folding it down to where it meets these two edges. Crease that part. Turn it back how you had it. Now we're folding this whole bottom half up, creasing it nicely. Now we have to make its tail. So this little corner part, we're going to flip it up to the sky. You just twist it and then crease it good with your fingers. Okay. If you want it to stay there a little better, you can undo that last crease, open it up right here, push this part up, and it sort of just turns inside out. If it doesn't cooperate the first time, just be gentle with it. It's only paper. Kind of guide it to where you want it to go. There we go. Okay. And then there is that one other little finishing touch. If you want its little tail to look like it's flipped over, you can do one little snip in between right here. And then flip this part towards you so it sticks out. Oh, that's a very nice whale. Now we have two whales. So you can create the background for them. You could put an eye, maybe you could put, let's see if I have a pen. I got a pen. You could use a pencil or something and make an eye for your whale. Maybe you could make a smile. My whale is smiling. Maybe this one's gonna have an eyeball on it too. And it's gonna be smiling. Happy little whale. There we go. All right. I hope you had fun making a whale today, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks for watching.
I am Ms. DiBiase, and I will be teaching kindergarten first graders landscaping technique, and we will be doing a painting. We're first going to draw it out, and then we're going to paint with it. Now, if you don't have paints, don't worry about it. Sometimes you can use markers to color with or crayons to color with. Today I'm going to make watercolors because I don't have watercolors with me. They are at school, like everything else that I have. So I'm going to be using food coloring. I found a bunch of food coloring in my cabinet, and again, like I said before in another video, I don't know why I have so many containers. This one looks like it was maybe done way back in the olden days of 1960s. Anyways, they're probably still good. If not, I will reconstitute them, which means I will add water to them. Alright, so we're going to be working on a landscape today. What you will need, if you don't have brushes, don't worry about it. Me either. I'm going to use Q-tips. I'm also going to use food coloring as my way of coloring it. I'm going to use a pencil to draw with so I know where I'm going to be painting. And I will need some jars in order to mix my colors in. I'm going to start out with primary colors. I'm going to start out with a blue. I have a red. And then I have a yellow. Now, my red is all dried up, so I'm going to add a very little amount of water. So if you're making your own watercolor, just add a little bit of water to it, and then you want to get your color. And you'll want to put, I don't know, 3, 4 drops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then mix it up. If you want it darker, you can always add more to it. Probably have maybe your folks help you out with this because you don't want to squeeze the whole bottle into it. That would be a waste. Let's see here. I think I'm going to need a little bit more yellow. So again, I'm going to add some water to it. Just a little, because I can always add more water to it later if I need it. And again, I want to put, I don't know, 3 or 4 drops of water in it. I mean, food coloring in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's go with 6. A lot of the painting that I will be doing, I will be mixing the color onto the paper. Alright, I'm not going to start out with watercolor paper. Not a lot of you have watercolor paper at home, so I did find some cardstock. If you can find poster board, that would be great. Now this is a full sheet. It's going to be kind of big. So I would, if I were you, just do a half sheet first, because you can always use 2 together. Now, if you don't have scissors, don't worry about it. You just take the paper, you crease it really good, fold it back on itself, crease it really good this way. And then you can take it and start to tear it. I used to have to tear all my watercolor paper because I like the ragged edge. Set one aside. Now I have my watercolor paper, or my paper that I'm going to paint on. What you might think about doing is get your pencil, draw your horizon line. Now, the horizon line is a line that goes from one edge all the way over to the other. It doesn't have to be in the middle. In fact, it's probably good that if you go up or if you go down. I'm going to go down because I really want more sky. So I'm just going to draw a line. It's not perfect. And then I might add maybe some mountains. We have East Tennessee mountains here, so I think I'll do some mountains. I might get some trees in, so I'm just kind of wiggling my pencil across. It might change, and then, I don't know, a distant field and a close-up field. This is of course going to be my sky. Now, some of you kindergartners and first graders like to do your sky at the top. Actually, the sky goes all the way down to the land. If you look out your window, you will see the sky just doesn't stop at the top of your window. It goes all the way down and touches buildings, or it goes behind the buildings, it goes behind mountains or trees or whatever it is, but it goes all the way down. It might be very light down in here and darker up here, but let's try not to do just our sky at the top here and not have anything in between, because it actually goes all the way down. It goes behind the mountains or goes behind the buildings. Alright, so we have that basic. You do want to get a little bit of water in a different separate piece. I tend to, with my brushes, and you can paint with a brush if you have them, but I tend to get my Q-tip wet first. And then I'm going to drag it across my paper. And all I'm doing is putting some water on it at this time, just kind of helping it get a little bit wet. This will help the sky be different colors if I want it to be. And taking all the wetness all the way down to my mountains. If you have watercolor paper, great! It tends to do better with watercolor paper. Now I have a couple of streaks of something coming off here, but I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to have fun with it. I'm going to take my wet Q-tip and I'm going to dip it into my paint, and then I'm just going to glide it across my paper. And then I'm going to start to blend it, going back and forth. I'm not looking for perfect, and you shouldn't either. We're just going to look for interesting. Now, if I were to keep painting in one spot over and over and over, especially if you don't have a thick paper, it's pretty soon going to get so wet that it saturates it and then you get a hole in it. So try not to work into a wet spot too much. Alright, now is when I'm going to dip it into the water, and I'm going to bring it all the way down to my mountains. I'm just going into water right now, and I'm using whatever pigment or paint is in here, or food coloring is in here. That's what I'm going to color with. Now I have my sky in. I can come back in and lightly maybe add some different strokes. Notice I'm just going back and forth. I'm not going up and down. I did here, and that kind of messed it up. So I'm going to go back and forth with the sky colors. So go back and forth with it. Just kind of have fun with it. Now, I'm kind of painting at a faster pace than you might want to go to. You can always stop this video and catch up and then continue on from there. But I'm going to move on, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some blue to my mountains, because I've only got 3 colors. And I'm going to follow along my mountains. And they might start to blend in with my sky at one time, but don't worry about that. We're going to try something else with this. I'm going to set this down onto a blank piece of paper so it doesn't get on my table. I'm going to dip my new Q-tip in water. I'm going to get a little bit of red on it. Then I'm going to go straight on top of my mountains, because I want my mountains to be a different color than I have my sky. If you need to, you can always pick up your blue again and go right on top of it again. I'm going down to my tree line. Going back and reviewing, remember we started with a horizon line first. You can start and do a landscape or a cityscape or a seascape, but today we're doing a landscape, and a landscape has to have land on it for it to be a landscape. I'm going to go back in with my red. Because it's food coloring, it just, you know, has its limits, but I'm kind of enjoying it. I've never painted with food coloring before. So you and I get to explore together. Alright, next I'm going to do my trees. Now, my trees, I want them to be green. So again, I'm going to take another clean Q-tip. Notice I have my other 2 over here that I can always go back into. I'm going to get it wet in my water. Then I'm going to go into my yellow, and I'm going to go straight on top of my trees. And I'm even going to bring it down into my field or my land. Just go ahead and cover the whole thing as much as you want to. This is where I may take time out to get my blue, and blue and yellow are going to make its own color. You may already know this, you probably do. And I'm going to go on top of my trees. See what color it made? See if yours makes the same thing. I'm going to go back in, put a little bit more yellow on top of the layering. So now I've painted it twice. I want to make sure I'm not getting too much water on it, so I'm just going to leave it at that time. I think I need some, I'm going to put some greens down here in the field, and I'm just going to kind of streak them in because it's a far away field and you won't really see a lot of blades of grass until you get close up. If you were to do blades of grass close up, you would have to go in this direction, up and down. Okay, then I'm going to go back in with my yellow, and I'm going to go across my field again. Ooh, just got an idea. Maybe I should go in with a little bit of red to make a new green, because it kind of gives it a nice little tone. Maybe I could dot it and do flowers. Ooh, you like that? Alright. Yeah, this looks pretty. It's going to be summer soon. I sure do miss seeing you all. Can't wait to see you all as soon as we have permission to go back to school. Y'all have grown a lot. Y'all grow like weeds. But I'm really proud of you all. And I'm glad you're trying this new little landscape. I'm going to streak it in here. Maybe put some more red. Hey, I kind of like that. It's a field of poppies. I didn't even know I was going to do that today. You might be doing something else wonderful. You're learning two things, landscape. One, with the horizon line, so you have your sky coming all the way down to it, and then you have your land. And you're learning how to paint with Q-tips and food coloring. How cool is that? I know it. Alright, it's something that you can show if you have older brothers or sisters. You might want to show them. Now, I'm going to go down to the bottom here of the trees and put a little bit darker line. Just kind of skirt it all the way across it. This is so that I can see the difference between that and the field, and the bottom of the trees to the top of the trees. Let's see, what else can I do to my beautiful watercolor here? I think that's about it. If you were brave and wanted to put some pinks into your sky, I wouldn't put it back in there. I would just use whatever's there and go ahead and just kind of streak some other colors into the sky, peeping them here and there. Not a whole bunch. Alright, so that is a watercolor demonstration. We have done a landscape today. We worked with our horizon line. Can you say horizon line? Very good. Alright, can't wait to teach another lesson to you. You all have a good time. Remember, if you mess up, don't worry about it. Just keep working with it. Have fun. And you have another blank piece of paper to make a beautiful little landscape. Alright, take care. Be sure and wash your hands.